Well, this is take 2 of this video. The first one I recorded without sound, that the sound came on halfway through, so that was a bust. At least this time I hopefully won't have the train whistle blowing in the video. Just enjoying the outside on this beautiful May day after months of winter. Enjoying it after a nice long day at work, and sitting in my backyard, which I'm starting to do things with it now that I have a fence. Didn't want to do things before because, I don't know, it seems like especially nowadays, if you do any kind of hard work to take care of your lawn or to grow crops, plant trees, people just for fun will come and, I don't know, steal or vandalize. I don't know. Kids nowadays are just out of control. People nowadays are just out of control. It's lawlessness. It's perilous times, like what the Bible talks about. So, the Episcopal Church. They did something, their head guy, it's a guy named Sean Rowe. I didn't know his name before I made the last video. That's the only reason I know it now. It's not because I follow the guy. He is a degenerate. And of course this new situation with the South Africans, the white refugees, they're the wrong color, of course. Therefore the Episcopal Church doesn't want to help them. It's not in line with who they are. That's his words. I'll play a clip of him. But I just like to talk a little bit before I get into it. Let's just remember the Episcopal Church and their values. They're very pro-LGBT. I'm not going to say the whole thing. I remember when it was just the LG movement, or LGB movement, whatever it was, 20 years ago. They're very pro that. They're very pro-abortion, murder of children. They're very pro-social justice, and he says that we are interested in racial justice, which I guess by his definition means white people can rot, you know. Only true racial justice is if all white people die. I don't know. But this is a man whose morality and whose denomination openly supports just evil, reprehensible evil that God hates. Anyway, the social justice gospel, and there are many social gospels. The woke right has their social gospel. Their group of choice that they hate is the Jews. Those guys see Jews everywhere. They probably look under their bed at night for Jews before they go to sleep. I don't hate the Jews, just to be clear. I'm loosely dispensationalist, but I also don't worship the Jews, like some do. I don't believe that the Jews are going to be saved in other ways. Some dispensationalists do. I personally haven't met anybody that believes that, but I do know that some people teach that. But anyway, it's a rabbit trail. But I think that the Episcopal Church has given us a prime example of the social gospel. It is one where you cannot do enough penitent acts. There is no forgiveness, no matter how many times you ask for it. No amount of things you do merits you a better standing before them. I mean, maybe a little bit better standing. You can be an ally, But if you're white, you're just inherently sinful. Your racism is just inbred in you, like the sin nature is. There's no mercy, there's no grace. You're just always evil. You're always learning. You're always learning what it means to be an ally, or whatever other ridiculousness they say. It's, I don't know. And when we measure that against the gospel, my goodness, it's awful. You are in a constant state of hell, and the only hope you have is by maybe possibly getting to a sort of purgatory state where you're an ally, but you need to shut up because you're white and your opinion's less valid. You compare that to the actual gospel, where your sins are an abomination to God. They are too numerous to count. And God is ready to throw you into hell, but He extends to you mercy in the person and work of His Son, Jesus Christ. He commands, He doesn't just offer it, He commands every man, repent and come to Christ my Son in faith, and you will be saved. Not only will we be forgiven, our debt will be totally forgiven, but by Christ we will also be accounted righteous because of His work. And we're not just righteous citizens that, He governs. He says that He adopts us as His children, that He loves us, that His eyes are always on the righteous. He shows us mercy and grace unfathomable. If your theology leads you to a merciless, graceless, and truly loveless conduct, as liberalism does, you don't have the gospel, you don't have God, and Christ is your enemy, no matter how much you may say you follow His teachings. And I think about this frequently. Let me play a couple clips, and then I'll read some of his stuff, talk in between. But this is horrible. This is really horrible stuff. I mean, this man is a terrible person. I mean, he truly is. The things he says are straight out of the pit of hell. I mean, they talk about how conservatives are unloving because they oppose abortion and want the woman to be treated as a murderer because she's a murderer. Let's see here. Alright, this is a clip of him.
Of course, this was a 4 decades old relationship across many administrations that was ended abruptly today. Why did the classification of these immigrants as refugees cross a moral line?
Well, the reality is we can't be ourselves in the Episcopal Church and take the step of resettling white Afrikaners from South Africa.
And that's how it crossed a moral line. These white Afrikaners crossed a line because they were white. That is the line that was crossed. And let me go on a little rant here. I think about Proverbs where it says, even the tender mercies of the cruel are wicked. It says the righteous, is kind to his animal, the lowliest of the beings. These people like him, and I've had engagements with other liberals, they see this specific incident, this man and his denomination see the refugees they've helped out in the past as being a personal feather in their cap. They're non-white, so therefore they look virtuous for helping them. So already they look good. And the wind really picked up suddenly. Didn't have any wind, and now we have all kinds of wind. Sorry if there's some interference with the speaker. Anyway, their work with the non-white migrants and refugees or whatever they've been helping, and they're very pro-illegal alien, which has brought lots of crime, lots of child sex trafficking, drugs, crimes, theft, murder, terrorism, gangs. I mean, gangs taking over entire towns in the United States. That to me isn't loving. But these people, I'm sure the 50 million they get, not all of it went to the refugees, probably not even most of it. But that was what was really important to them, was that money. That's what they liked, and they also liked being able to look good for everybody and receive the praise of men. I mean, they're no different than the Pharisees, who liked receiving the praise of men. They liked looking super religious and pious too, but it was all a show. I think about that in relation to adoption. I think about snowflake children, because I've had a snowflake children. The hardest snowflake children to adopt, I mean the ones that have the lowest adoption rate, are white. And I suspect that it has to do with the fact that people want to look virtuous. They can say, oh, look at my non-white son or daughter. I have no idea if that's true. That's my speculation, because it is a statistic that embryos that come from white parents have the lowest adoption rate, and it's disgusting. I got in an argument with a liberal, quote-unquote Christian, over abortion, and she needed to, for some reason, bring up her black husband, as if that was a feather in her cap. And I didn't tell her this, but it is such a sad thing for her husband to know that he is just a trophy on her mantle. He is a merit badge for her, that she is virtuous and I don't know, not racist and an ally because she has a black husband, and that is all he is to her. And that's all a lot of adopted children are, I would say. That, or I don't want to say a lot. That is a sad thing about some adopted children that are non-white, that go to parents that are, I assume, white. That is a merit, that is a feather in their cap. Look at my black son. I love him because he makes me look virtuous. You know? It takes away love. It takes away, this person is made in the image of God, regardless of what their skin color. And it's a merit-based system, just like a works righteousness gospel. You matter to me by your merit, by your characteristics. You're desirable to me because of this. Not because of who you are, but because of this immutable characteristic of yours that you have no control over. If you weren't this color, I wouldn't care about you. But because you are, I care about you, or at least say I do. It's disgusting. It's disgusting for white people, because it says you are of no value to me. You can die for all I care. You don't further me in any way. You don't add anything to me. People won't praise me for helping you or being married to you. And it's cruel to the child or the spouse, because they're objectified too. And it's no different than the the extreme opposite side, who's always going off on, Jewish conspiracies, blaming the Jews for everything, whatever else. They're both disgusting groups. They're both evil. They're both godless. It's just the truth. If you hate anybody, you're a murderer. And James 2 talks about showing partiality. That means racism. Anyway.
Africa, our church has a long commitment to racial justice and reconciliation, and we have historic ties with the Anglican Church of South Africa. Desmond Tutu is a part of, been a partner in this work for us. So we're just not able to take this step. It's not in line with anything that we're about, and it also saddens us to see that other refugees who are being denied entrance to the United States are brave people who worked alongside of our military in Iraq and Afghanistan, now face danger, have been in camps for a long time.
Just to be clear, he received their grant was $50 million under Biden. That is the president who left a lot of those people in Afghanistan that helped our military. I guess their moral conscience, I guess that wasn't a bridge too far. I guess there wasn't a need to protest that. It was okay that president did that. That wasn't a bridge too far for them. This guy doesn't give a crap about those people. They didn't have any kind of protest against that. Refused to take money from a government that left our allies to, and frankly, a lot of American citizens in Afghanistan to be killed. Didn't care about that. That was all right. So people were literally killed because of that president and his terrible actions. But he can't, this isn't in line with who they are, resettling actual refugees because they're white. If that doesn't tell you everything you need to know, this guy's a hypocrite and a degenerate. And his denomination is a synagogue of Satan.
Long time and aren't being allowed in. And so this is just, the program no longer aligns with where we are as a church and what we're about.
Yeah. I agree with that for different reasons, though. Your church isn't a church. And I would imagine anything that doesn't further your self-image, your pride, your ego, that would make you look bad to your like-minded thugs. I'm sure that isn't in line with who you are. Heaven forbid you count the cost and be willing to be unpopular in order to love your neighbor. Let's see this one.
The reality is that we can't be ourselves as the church, as the people that Jesus has called us to, which is the most vulnerable, and take the step of resettling white Afrikaners from South Africa. We're told to care for the poor and the vulnerable, and we're going to follow.
Yeah, I guess people that are being murdered, people that have lost everything, their land's been seized. I guess they're not poor and vulnerable. And by love, I mean I despise that these people say, oh yeah, Jesus told us to love the poor and the vulnerable. They're always on and on and on about the poor, the poor, the poor, the poor. They love to quote Luke where it says, blessed are the poor. There is no inherent virtue, righteousness, or anything in being poor. And a lot of these liberals that say blessed are the poor are themselves very well off. Even if they're not so well off in this country, they're more well off than most people around the world. And I don't see them selling all their possessions, giving everything away, and putting on sackcloth and ashes. Nor is there inherent evil in being rich. The Bible nowhere speaks of that. I'm sorry, just because someone's poor. And poor does not simply refer to financial status. That can be, blessed are the poor in spirit is the full quotation of that in Matthew. But, you can be poor financially, you can be poor in spirit, you can be poor in social status, you can be looked down on based on any number of things, race. Even if you're wealthy, you can be poor in those senses. And yeah, they don't care about the poor. I'm sorry, God, Jesus didn't tell us love the poor. That's it. He said love your neighbor. Who is your neighbor? Everybody is your neighbor. The person you despise racially, that Samaritan, that's your neighbor. In fact, I believe that followed the parable of the Good Samaritan. That followed a Jew asking Jesus, "Who is my brother?" And he told him, "That Samaritan you hate because of his race, that's your brother. That's who you need to love. That's who the law tells you to love." Jesus told us, love our enemies. I don't know how many of you out there have tried to love your enemy. It's impossible. It's impossible to love your enemy apart from the grace of God. I'm sorry, when I was an unbeliever, I remember talking to people and they'd say, "Oh, I don't hate anybody." Yeah, you do. You never say a kind word about them. You curse them, but "Oh, I don't hate them." Yeah, you do. You hate them. If you are just become angry when you think about them, you hate them. This just blows my mind. I can't even stand when these people say that whole crap line about, "Oh, we want to love the poor like Jesus told us to." You don't love your neighbor at all. You want to pick and choose who your neighbor is. And even the neighbor you purport to love, you don't actually love. Even the best deeds of the unrighteous are tainted with sin, selfish ambition, and evil. That's all there is to it. I find it funny that I don't know. I don't really find this situation funny. It's just disturbing to me. This matter just bothered me all day. It bothers me to see people misuse the name of Christ as if they're taking the moral high ground when they show utter contempt for their enemy. I'm sorry. This has been going on for years. It didn't even start with Nelson Mandela. He just really set the ball rolling. Nelson Mandela was a very evil man. I don't know how many people knew that. I didn't know it until about 10 years ago when he died. He was a terrorist. He bombed a train station in Johannesburg, I believe. He didn't go to prison for being some peaceful protester. He was a terrorist. His wife was a terrorist. There are groups in South Africa that go around murdering white farmers, white families, and steal their land. And it's not just shoot the family, it's brutal. Some of these people get put into tires and burned alive. They drown the babies, they drown the kids. They torture the old women to death. These people are pleading for help from President Trump, from the United States, for refugee status. They've lost everything. They've lost their land. They're coming here with their kids and some possessions. It's like, what do these people have to gain by lying? And some rag outfit said that it was proven false by a South African court that there was a genocide going on. Yeah, I'm sure a South African court is going to rule that. I doubt there was too much justice for Jews in Germany either at that time in the 1930s and 40s. Of what are these people gaining by coming up with this massive lie? If they want to be in America, they can do like all the other illegal aliens and come up through the southern border. If that's what it is. I mean, these people have nothing to gain. They have absolutely nothing to gain. I wonder how someone can look at those little babies, those little kids, innocent little kids, and families coming off the plane waving American flags and smiling and think, I don't want to help those people. Those aren't the right kind of people. I want nothing to do with them. They can burn in hell, is essentially what this guy is saying. They are worth nothing. What happened to the Imago Dei? Well, the Episcopal Church thinks abortion's good. I mean, if they think slaughtering little babies in the womb is good, if they think this LGBTQ movement, which, I'm sorry, I'm going to say it, they're actively moving towards normalizing having sex with kids. I mean, why do you have men dressed as women dancing in front of kids and having kids put money in their waistbands? They want to have sex with kids. I think that's pretty obvious. If they think that's good, if they think murdering little babies, black, white, or other is a good thing, then why wouldn't they be able to look at families like that who are in need and say, go to hell? This has just enraged me. This is what happens when your society abandons God. This is what happens when your churches abandon God. And the Episcopal Church is a synagogue of Satan. It is. I know I'm going off on several different rabbit trails, but this situation is just so grievous. And the most helpless among us are being victimized the most. The kids. They are directly affected in all three of these situations. And God absolutely hates those who oppress the poor. And I'm not talking about the financial poor. Yes, they are included, but the weakest, the most helpless, children. I think there is a special kind of judgment that God pours out for that. He has a special sort of anger for that. And I don't know. I just can't believe the depths of... I mean, when I look at it from a secular point of view, which by God's grace He's working out of me, but when I look at these situations from a secular view, I'm just like, how did we get to a point as a society where what we're doing to kids is, of all things, of all people, what we're doing to kids is good, or is... How did we get to this point where this is acceptable? But when you look at it from a godly standpoint, there's an answer. Sin. We've abandoned God. We've kicked God out. We've spent years blaspheming Him and reveling in what is shameful and evil. And this is what we get. It's totally disturbing, and Lord Jesus, return for us. Rescue us out of this world soon. This evil is just depressing. and you feel so helpless. I was thinking about how relieved I was to see that I think it was about 50 refugees came here getting saved out of the place they were in, where there was a very good possibility they and their family would be just totally wiped out. And I thought about that in relation to the gospel. We should be shoving people into the lifeboat of Christ. We should be pleading with men. We should have that same kind of relief when someone comes to Christ, and we should have that same kind of urgency to preach the gospel, to throw those spiritual life preservers out if men would take them. We have to see it like that, because people are in mortal danger. The flesh and blood danger is the least of every man's issue. It is the gospel. It is their spiritual state, which is their greatest danger, because it is an eternal danger, an unquenchable fire. I'm glad to see that we are taking refugees in need. I hope that the evil of this modern society doesn't prevent Trump from bringing more of these people in. These people are in need of help. Hopefully there's some kind of Christian organization or fund that will come about to where we can help them. Help them with the gospel most of all, but help them get here. Rescue them from being, by all accounts, potentially murdered. Because it's bad over there. I don't know. It's a very scary time we're living in, and anyway, sorry to be a bit of a depressing video. It's sad that this video is being made. It's sad the situation that caused it, but hope you all are blessed. Continue in the hope of the gospel and continue preaching the gospel, because God is gracious and merciful, and every man stands in need of his grace.